Okay, we'll call the council meeting to order at 7 o'clock and rise for pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to public comment period. Is anybody here for public comment? No written correspondences, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. All right. We'll move on to approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions?
Put on the addressing of this 296 McCran Street.
Yes, perfect. I'll put that right under yours. So we'll do 6A or B technically, with A being school, 2 is for the McGran. All right. And I will add one for B. I'll just give I don't see it on your Hope Garden update for the community. Anybody else have anything to add? No. Perfect. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the additions.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that carries. And now we'll move on to item 5, approval of the consent agenda. Items A and B.
I so make the move to approve consent agenda A and B for the claims of $103,328.39.
I'll go second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. And that carries. And then we'll move on to City Attorney Jansen. I do see school on here, but we'll just have you be 6 and 7 for the school and McGran piece, if that works.
Oh, that works. All right, yeah, so I'll kind of hit on, I guess, the school and specifically, I'll hit on like kind of the ball field in general. Everything kind of going on. So I know that in talking with Shane passed along the latest offer. I think that was discussed at the last council meeting as well as the last EDA meeting. So kind of just a history of kind of what things have been happening, just to remember. So back in April, I think they initially came in with their appraisal. The bank got that was about 1.2 million for the whole property. And I think they had initially offered, I think it was about, they wanted half
$500,000
for the one lot. And that was not acceptable for the city. I think the city had countered at something around, I think it was like just under 2,500 an acre. And then to cover all of the surveying and all the costs and closing costs that would go along with it. So we were quite a long ways apart. Since that time, the bank had dropped. I think that was back a couple of months ago to 250. And then ultimately now they've come in at 150, and that was just last month, and that was discussed at the last council meeting, I understand. And the city had rejected that offer, and that was relayed to the bank. So I've had some discussions. I spoke with Shane prior to the council meeting and just been doing some brainstorming on this issue. I think it would be wise to, at least consider our options going forward. What is going to be an acceptable offer? what would, what's something we would entertain. I know that 150 was not acceptable, what is our drop line? Is it that? I think we had discussed at the last meeting somewhere around like that 25. And then the Lions Club,
Green Alley Amateur
the
Baseball
baseball
Association.
tossing in 25, so putting us around that 50,000 mark. Which still leaves us quite a ways away from that 150 mark. So I think it'd be wise to at least weigh our options before, we're going to be coming to the end sooner than later. And we got to recognize that if this thing does go all the way through and it is foreclosed upon, that we're not going to have ultimate control on the end where that goes, that half of the property. And I guess if we do take the bank at their appraisal that this ballpark is worth 1.2 million, is it worth, coming in a little bit different, approaching this differently? Now, as I discussed with Shane, worst case scenario, somebody comes in and buys it, then it sits there vacant. And that's no good for anybody. We got a lot of infrastructure on our side of the property that's going to be worth nothing if that does happen. So how much is that worth to us to throw into this? Now, on the flip side of it, I don't think it's any good to the bank either, having just half of a ball field. So what other options, if we can't come to some sort of mutual agreement, what other options are there? Is it an option that we sell our portion to the bank and then they have a full ball field? I don't know. I think we just got to start exploring all options. Or, at least we go into it with our eyes wide open. Because like I said, worst case scenario, this thing, it doesn't go our way. We don't get our half of that other half. And then all that infrastructure just sits there and rots. So.
Well, in order for us to really make a decision on it, we're going to definitely need some type of input from the citizens of the city. Because in the long run, it's going to end up coming back down to the rest of the citizens, depending upon how much we end up paying, because they are going to end up getting taxed for it in one way or the other for us to pay for it.
If we do, yep.
If we pay, so the citizens have to have an input and say something now before anything else is done. So then it's understood that we gave it a shot. You all had your chance to tell us what you would like to see happen and what you're okay with happening. And I don't like the idea of us just being, well, you guys lost it. Well, we need the input from the people of the city.
Well, we're elected officials. We are the input of the residents from the majority, do our best to be one. And from what I've gathered, and others can chime in, there's very few nowadays that would say, hey, let's settle with the bank and keep that school at $8,000 a month and pay that price and increase our taxes 20%. Not going to happen.
I was just talking about what they want to do with the ball field.
Right. And so with half a ball field, the bank's at a loss, we're at a loss. We have the majority of the infrastructure on our side. We've already cared for the school building, very much so, to a point. We've had insurance claims on it. Everything's been repaired. We've maintained the boiler to state licensure and law and all of the applicable standards with the elevators. We have kept everything up to par with the electricity, and we've literally been keeping up with the building, advertising with real estate, from the EDA side, I should say, not we. This is the EDA stuff. And I think they have done extraordinarily well and have negotiated in good faith to make it work. And our offers, I still stand by it. Parkland, non-tillable, no different than you'd be buying hunting land you can't build on. That price was reasonable. And then Amateur Baseball Association, they didn't have to, but they came forth and said, hey, we're willing to throw in another 25 grand. So that's 50 grand for half of a baseball field so the city can make it whole again. If they get their half a baseball field, the city school, the bus garage, 2 ADA lots, to me, settling at 50 grand to give up half a baseball field is pretty reasonable for a community bank. Especially when we've been making, well, the school had been making payments and this bond has been active since 2005. It's a licensed or bond, it's insured. They've made plenty of money back. And I'm sure maybe even a little bit of a profit at this point after this long. I haven't added it all up yet. But they're in it to make money. I get it. The baseball park costs us money. Let's be real. It does bring people to town for games. But it costs water, electricity, bathrooms, a sewer, upkeep, gas, fuel. I mean, all of it. It costs money to keep going. And so when this idea is brought up of, do we want to go back with one last negotiation tactic to the bank and say, hey, here's the deal. You take the whole baseball field then. We still want that path behind the baseball field, but take the whole baseball field and the school building. We'll keep the bus garage and the industrial lots. But to me, that seems pretty dang fair. Because that way we're keeping all of the assets. Things that would generate revenue for the city, for the taxpayer, and lessen the tax burden. But if we throw down 100 grand, 150 grand, now we're talking about, right, increasing taxes. So I have yet to meet, but 2 or 3 people in town that are all for trying to find a reasonable offer with the bank or that have disagreed with us. I mean, most people are saying that this is ridiculous. 50 grand seems appropriate, and why the heck would they want to hang on to half of a field? I understand their stance with it. It was part of the agreement back in 05, but I would really like to just be done with it. Now, you did mention we still give the keys back. We can still be done with it. Our offer's been in limbo for months, and then we just hear back by fall. So I'm a little dissatisfied by that, but at the same time, we're not going to be doing boiler maintenance. So it's going to be up to the school or the bank to take that over if they so choose. But keys are going back, but you had mentioned that we can still negotiate if we choose to.
No. And I don't ever think it hurts, to negotiate, to try. Now, whether or not we can get anywhere, that's a whole different question. But I don't think it does anybody any good. And I think the bank realizes it just for that whole thing, just to sit there unused, letting it go to waste. So I think it's worth, continuing the dialogue, see if we can get somewhere. Like I said, there's a lot of options. None of them are probably the best, but I think it's worth keeping the door open. So kind of what I'm recommending is that, we brainstorm on it, whether it's how much can the city kick in? What is the city willing to kick in? What can the EDA kick in? What can we get from our donors? And then what's a kind of a last best offer? And then if that's not acceptable, what are other options? Mm-hmm. And if all else fails, there's the foreclosure process, and we can go through that and we can shake the dice. And, I think we got a decent chance to keep this thing, but nobody knows at that point.
So at the end of the day, we gotta, before it goes back to EDA as a discussion item, the big question is, any recommendations from this city or ideas to share with EDA? Because they're going to talk about it. They're going to come up with a recommendation for our final approval or stamp. for us to just go back to the bank and say, here's where we sit. I don't think that the city at this point in time with cost of living and everything going up in price, we know the state tax is going up. We're dealing with the referendum at Sibley East right now. I don't know where that's going to go, but looking at it, that will increase taxes for the county. So please, for the love of God, get out there and vote too. Read the referendum and make sure. Because that vote won't be here. That will be at, where's it at, Diane? That's over at,
The Green Isle Township
Green Isle
Hall.
Township Hall. So yeah, with the referendum and all these things coming into play, we are doing our best to be fiscally responsible and to put more money down as a city on the park from what we've already offered. I feel we wouldn't be a good warden of the tax dollar, I guess. I have a lot of concerns with that. I think what we offered was fair, but I'm not opposed to the idea of seeing if the EDA would recommend us saying, take the field and we can actually gain back our 2 industrial lots, the trail. And I don't think they have any of the park building, but that would give us an opportunity to actually have that surveyed and platted and brought back to the way it should have been. And for everybody like online and out here, the reason half a baseball field is part of this is because it used to be the playground from the school. But back in 2005, when this bond was created, it was never separated out. And the bond is not a city bond, it's an EDA bond. So there's collateral involved, meaning if this goes into foreclosure, we don't legally have to take over payments for this as a city. If we did, we'd be paying $8,000 a month for a building. And that would really increase our tax dollars.
So you're saying, Shane, just let the other half go back and put it up. I can't see having multiple entities involved with this as far as financial. We as a city, we as a baseball team, I think it should be just one entity sold off somehow, and wherever it goes from there, it goes from there. I just, too many fingers in it. I don't think how is it going to be managed after a while?
Right, so instead of like the city and like what you're saying is the city and bank owning this half a field and managing it, that would be a catastrophe. It just wouldn't work. It'd be worthless land. But if the bank were to accept an offer of taking that whole field, which has brand new LED lights due to insurance damage or hail damage, an insurance claim, so the electricity is less. A lot of nice structures in there.
Always been watered.
Yep. And that we'll be generating tax revenue from that then because it'd be owned by a private entity.
Yeah.
Otherwise the basically is typically costs money, but parks do because they're service to the community. I understand that too, but it also leaves room for the bank to negotiate with the Amateur Baseball Association in Green Isle, because maybe they'll want to buy it out from the bank directly, and we're not part of it. And we can focus solely on EDA land. We, meaning the EDA, can focus on bringing business into town. And that'd be a heck of a way to do it, because now you got a business in town that's running a baseball field. That school building will go up for auction. We have like a bus garage, we have our lots, we have our trails, and we're set. It's not a bad thing to pursue. I don't know if the bank.
So what is it worth? Our half back to the baseball, or back to the.
Well, if it's $1.2 million per the bank, it's worth at least 500 grand, but I would say that our portion, because remember when Taylor told us 500 grand was the initial offer, I think we have the higher hand on that 500 grand, because I'd say ours is 6 to 7 because of all the buildings and bleachers and concession stands and entrance to the field. Everything of value is on our side of that field. So, I mean, it's not a bad deal for them, but that's not my call. That's not that we'll let EDA, then you guys talk about it, but I don't want to put any more money down. I've been pretty clear about that from day one. I think our offer was plenty with the alleged donation. It's not a true donation until we see it and accept it by resolution, so that $25,000, but
And kind of my purpose and, bringing this stuff up is it doesn't hurt to start thinking outside the box a little bit. If it's clear that we're not going to be able to get a deal done, what else can we do? So.
yeah, and I think we're there. Yeah, because it was crystal clear that 150 is their counter offer, and that's still very unreasonable as far as EDA was concerned, and city declined it as well. So that would be the only outside the box opportunity. We can continue with all of the proceedings, the bank's doing their thing on the side. So the next step would be what, EDA to discuss kind of the options and to say, here's where we're set. Keys are still going back to the bank. We're not really paying for anything at the city anymore. Or sorry, at the school building, because we really don't have to. Correct? There's nothing to do. We already said we're gonna hand you the keys. You can take over. I don't want to maintain the boiler at, what was it, like 350, 250 every couple of weeks. And just keep putting money in it if the offers are too far apart. So
How far would the city go? You're talking like 500,000. I mean, we could go lower to get rid of it too. And again, we're back to a tax on it. And if you're saying that we're offering it back to the bank that price for them to buy it, right? So they got the whole thing.
well, it's like deep in lieu of foreclosure, right? It's like we're bartering essentially to say, look, take the field, because you can't do anything with that.
That's what I'm saying. Is there
Let us do this.
balance?
And again, we I don't think anybody has any clue if the bank would even entertain any of this. I don't know what the heck what they would do with a baseball field, but
I think we're gonna start somewhere. This has gone way too long. Way too.
Well, can't say we didn't try.
No.
I mean, we've spent thousands of dollars in advertising. We've spent hours of labor trying to find a realtor to come in and show it. You're still getting calls for people that are possibly interested in referring them to the bank. We've been keeping the building up to code. We've been doing all of these things and making sure that even every little leak has been taken care of, from the hail damage. Yeah, you name it. So we have done everything and have actively negotiated with the bank. So I think we have gone above and beyond. And if EDA wants to discuss this as what do we do here, or do we just let it keep going into foreclosure? That's an option. Because we do not need to keep the keys, right? That's still, we don't have to do anything with the school building.
I don't know of any contract that's forcing us to.
Right. Yeah. Do they need to insure it at this point, or does it have to still stay under ours?
I would recommend we insure it that.
Yeah, because it's still under the trust, so.
If something happens to it. Yeah, so I'd recommend that, EDA talks about, what, if anything, can they contribute to, get this thing back? What can the city contribute? Like, I don't know if when I'm talking EDA, I know they got lots and they can use that as some sort of leverage with the bank. Now, what are those lots worth? I don't know, but just throwing it out there.
So would you mind bringing that to the EDA? I think we know the answer for the lots is gonna be heck no. Because that's bringing industry into town, but I get it. No, I understand. City wise, I think we've all been pretty clear, zero extra dollars, unless something has changed with this group. I we voted to just end it at our current office. So that's up for discussion. But again, it'll go back to the EDA, but to save you some time, Amy, I think it's reasonable to say we're still sitting at not adding any more dollars to the offer currently. Cause 150 grand, we've offered what would be 25 to 30 grand when we're already trying to work on our budget for 26.
Well, we can't raise it anyway, so that's already set there.
Correct.
Cause we can only
But
look.
it's like
go down from here.
So, I mean, yeah,
So the money is just, yeah, it's not there. And
any amount be levied.
and with some, yeah, it was something that's not generating revenue for the city and its residents is not worth putting any more money in after making a reasonable offer. And then you mentioned the insurance, that's a whole another topic that we could talk on. Because I'm sure it's in your mind too, is we're not gonna be paying for this dang boiler anymore. This upkeep of this $300 and some every 2 weeks to keep it going. And how does that work then with the bank? We've been telling them like, hey, take it over. Like, here's the keys. But if we're to keep insurance on it and we turn off the boiler, we're gonna have pipes breaking everywhere. You know what I mean? So it's, yeah. But you're welcome to chime in, Amy. You're the EDA director too, if you have an idea, but or thoughts, because
The one about giving them half of the baseball park intrigues me and trying to get our industrial park lots back.
me too.
Because when we own the industrial park lots, that gives us the ability to offer discounts
Mhm.
when we are selling them to them. As an incentive to Green Isle. We lose control over that when someone else owns the lot and they're selling it privately. So we'll bring it back to the EDA, let the EDA discuss it. And see, I mean, they'll have options. We'll talk about the options that the city council talked about, and they may choose to do nothing.
Mhm. Well, if that works. And then in the meantime, we'll follow up with the bank and see if they've called the boiler person. Cause we did give that to the,
They have the contact.
they have the contact, so. We'll see if they're doing any work on that. Good stuff, thank you. But yeah, no, that's, I do appreciate it, cause it's different ideas. And no matter what, something will happen, it will eventually go to an auction. But this is why I'm not a fan of bonds. Cause it affects people 20+ years down the road. It does. But anything else for kind of the school piece? That's a lot to take in. Perfection.
I think it's a kind of a good segue into my next topic. I wanted to hit on, you hit on the lights
Mhm.
and the insurance. So Advantage, our bidding issue
Yes,
that has been ongoing. So they finally filed their complaint against the city.
yep,
We were appointed counsel by the League of Minnesota Cities. And the League of Minnesota Cities was also named in their suit as a co-defendant. So they're suing both the city and the League of Minnesota Cities.
I was wondering where that was, cause it seems like it kind of just went away.
Yeah, well, it's back.
It's back.
The council has filed an answer that was, I think, last week. And so looking at the complaint as laid out by Advantage, they're claiming they didn't give a definitive amount that they want, but in excess of $50,000 for breach of contract. So for not following through. So in speaking with the attorneys that are representing the city, they still feel confident. They feel good about where our position is. But we're still in the very early stages and nothing much has happened beyond that at this point. Any questions about any of that stuff?
Lots, but no.
There'll be, as things progress, I'll keep you updated.
Okay,
But there'll be a lot of discovery phases going on, so I'm sure that we'll get some discovery requests, some interrogatories, and you may get hounded for some discovery coming up here.
happy to share. We're in government, we're public data requests are there.
Yep.
Have at it.
But yeah, I think that's all I got outside of the McGran property. I don't know if we want to get in.
Yeah, that. Where'd we put that? We just added it for B for you, so yeah, it's all yours.
All right. So we have the property located on McGran. This was 296 McGran Street. The owner is Sandra Foster, I think. Miss Foster. So you're here today. So Shane had contacted me just about, looks like there's been some issues just with the structural integrity of the building. Darren, our building inspector, had completed an inspection that was back in August. And his inspection notice had identified and flagged various issues and concerns. Ms. Foster, did you get a copy of the inspection notice?
Mhm.
Okay. So the various issues that are included, and it looks like Shane is pulling it up on the big screen here.
Yep,
So
you just tell me which page to go to for you, good sir.
yeah, I guess let's just start at the front page. So Darren kind of lays out his comments. So essentially, there's several issues, and they note that the building service equipment that is required by code is unsafe, that there's a fire, electrical, or health hazard. Also includes that the structure shows inadequate maintenance, dilapidation, physical damage, unsanitary conditions. The structure is not habitable, all premises. Doesn't have potable water, that the water connection is unsafe and subject to backflow. The structure is in a state of total dilapidation due to inadequate maintenance of the floors, ceilings, and walls. So essentially notes out that many of the walls, ceilings are caving in, falling, that the exterior walls need significant tuck pointing, replacement of brick and stone, foundation repair, doors and windows repair, ceiling and roof system taking in significant water infiltration, causing significant failure throughout the structure. Goes on that the electrical wiring, HVAC, and plumbing systems are in disrepair. The basement is inaccessible, extremely hazardous due to the foundation failure of the stairway going to the basement. The building is hazardous due to fungal growth. Debris within the dwelling, making it a potential fire hazard. And just due to the conditions, Darren recommends that the building be raised, so taken down. So looking at the inspection report, it then includes various pictures kind of showing everything. So Shane is scrolling through, kind of showing the issues.
And as you go to this was, we sent Darren out because we as a city had to act naturally because it was reported as a concern about safety. So that's what the city and state of building inspectors for. So it's their job to go out and look at this. And so just the report photos here. freeze thaw, yeah. I'll let you keep going as I kind of scroll unless you want me to go to a specific page.
Yeah, I think if we just go through the pictures real quick, just so everybody can see what we're kind of talking about here.
Failure of the- I wish it was a smoother scroll here. Let me try this. Oh, sorry. Chimney. I don't know if we have pictures of that chimney up there or not. I think there was. Noted he couldn't walk on the floor. Almost done here. We're on page 11. Kind of as you noted here, just so everybody can take a look.
My report doesn't show the comments next to those pictures.
And we'll just skip through the pictures and then we'll bring you up and let you respond to some of this stuff.
So
And last page here. Lead paint.
Okay. So there's, as we can see in the pictures and by the statements of Darren, the building inspector, it seems. So his ultimate recommendation was to take down the building, that it wasn't safe, that it was a hazard. But in order to be safe, it seems that there would be numerous repairs that would need to be completed, including replacing the roof system, repairing the foundation, rebuilding the walls around the perimeter of the building, replacing and repairing all the windows, doors, securing the dwelling. Request a structural engineer to provide plans to or prior to authorizing the structure. Replacing and repairing all plumbing, electrical, HVAC, mechanical systems pursuant to Minnesota state statute and the building code, plumbing code, electrical code. Repair or replacing the fungal growth, anything that's got fungal growth on it. Working with a licensed architect to ensure structurally sound, clearing the debris and junk from the dwelling to prevent fire hazard rodent infestation. So it seems that there's numerous things that need to be completed to make sure it's safe. And so in speaking with Shane, we had prepared an abatement order. So what that means is that we would direct the owners to do the repairs to make it safe and provide a certain timeline. Typically, that would be like a 30-day window to do that. And if it's not completed, then we would make a filing to court, and we would ask that the court allow us to go in and do the repairs ourselves and assess all the damages or to the city, to the property owner. And that's called an abatement. So the city council needs to determine whether or not, I guess, one, this structure is a hazard. Two, what needs to be done about it if it is a hazard. And three, how much time do we want to allow for that to happen? And then I guess before we, make a determination on that, we would certainly give the owner a chance to respond to this.
Yes.
So Sandra, if you want to respond to any of this, I guess this would be the time to do so.
Well, the building's already, a lot of those pictures don't. Oh, hold on a second.
They're inaccurate.
Yeah, they're inaccurate. There's already been tuck pointing already been done. There's still more to be done. So the structure of the building is not unsafe by any means. Like I said, we're still having more work done. So the plan is to fully repair that building, at least to your guys' standards at this point. But it's one of the last oldest standing buildings in this town. I refuse to let it go. So I'm trying the best that I can. Try to get the city to help me. They couldn't, so that's fine. But I just have to have the time to be able to get all this done.
So you said that
But slow things are happening, and I did not get the report with all the extra comments on there, so I just need to see what he's looking at too.
and
that's all
you
I ask.
indicated that the pictures were inaccurate. What's inaccurate about them?
All the brickwork. And we're already starting to clean out part of the inside, so.
So it sounds like you've done a bit of work since those
Mhm.
pictures were taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to know, like, if the photos were, like, something was wrong with the pictures or how we went about it, we want to know, because that's our hired building inspector because every city needs one. And so if there was an issue with that, that's good to know.
Being that it's already been in process. There's already
Okay.
been a bunch,
Okay.
like a lot of that tuck pointing that's been pointed out, a lot of that has been done.
Yeah, I noticed, yeah, that the exterior it's a beautiful building, always has been. I agree with you. That's what brings us up. I mean, the ADA's focus was to also look at these historical buildings and see what can be done with them too. And that's when it was brought up that there were concerns about the chimney and bricks falling. And so and it happens with other buildings in town too. We have to send our inspector out by law. We have to. And I do appreciate the tuck pointing going on. It's been amazing to watch. I've seen you out there working pretty dang hard to get the exterior going. Is that considered structural though? I don't know. I'm not a contractor. I think you are, correct? When we talked a few weeks ago, you do tuck pointing? Okay. And like even once we're at this point, like Darren's comments, I'm gonna find it because he recommended a structural engineer look at it.
Correct.
And that's a big piece because without it, I mean, you want to make sure all that money that you're putting into it, even if we granted you like a year timeline, that it's not going to go to waste because there's something wrong with the structure that's going to come crumbling down. Nobody would want that for you or the building. Additionally, that engineer would be able to tell you exactly what needs to be fixed. I'd love to see it repaired, but I've never seen our inspector put recommendation or opinion, that it should be raised since I've been on council. That I have yet to see that, to be honest. And I typically I'm one vote, but I typically heed our inspectors' opinions and try to look at the pictures, obviously listen to kind of what you have to say with it too, and what your plans are. I know over the years, we've sent a couple letters, correct? To the house about
or.
I think there was one for like window open. I'd have to look.
Window opens itself and repair.
It's been repaired now,
Yeah.
okay,
I repaired it every time Diane called.
okay,
It was shortly after,
sure.
so.
And I know repair work is not a cheap endeavor, especially on old homes. They're big projects. And we went through this with a historical building next door, the Eustis building, is a beautiful building that we had. And the roof caved in. I mean, there's nothing we could do.
And I did put in a permit for the windows to get.
Yep, we have that, yeah. How many windows are on there? Do you remember offhand?
7 windows is what I put in for.
Okay.
7 windows are the only ones that are really needing to be replaced
Okay.
at this moment.
I guess my personal concern and you can chime in whenever is like windows tuck pointing. That's a huge start, but I'm more worried about the structural integrity of it, where the inspector's saying like, look, inside there's mildew, mold. I can't even walk on the floors down there. And if that's true or not, that's kind of up to the inspector and the courts to decide. But we're being told, yeah, you can't even walk in some of the areas. And the structure
There's only
and
one.
foundation is unsound. So that's where I'm like, why are we starting with tuck pointing and windows? We'll let you keep going. I mean, we'll do the permit, but I just would hate to see all that exterior work done.
The exterior has to get done before winter. So that's why we're just focusing, because winter's coming. I won't have the
Right,
opportunity to get it.
right.
So that's hence why we're doing the exterior first.
And I think that the major concern on behalf of I guess, of the city and the inspector is just the hazards, I guess, what's gonna be the hazards here, the electrical fire.
The electrical's all been redone, that's why there's a new box out there.
Okay.
That's been done 10 years ago. So
And then-
all the electrical and a licensed electrician pulled the permit, everything is.
Okay.
Granted, there's no running electrical in the building other than one box and one outlet. But none of the other electrical has actually been hooked up, he unhooked everything, everything's out of there.
And I just know Darren's report, it's all electrical wiring, HVAC and plumbing systems are in disrepair.
Because they're torn out.
Okay. And then just that the basement's extremely hazardous due to foundation failures, failed
He just couldn't
stairway.
get down to the basement. We have better pictures of the basement and it's not. He just couldn't get down there.
And why couldn't you get down there? Do you know?
What's that?
What was his reason when you were walking through with him?
The stairs that were there,
Hmm?
they weren't done correctly by the
Okay.
previous owners, so.
Yeah, and
That's the previous one, that the previous owners did.
all this stuff
That's
here,
the scheme.
okay.
Obviously, that's not gonna be the stairway to the basement.
Yeah, it's an interesting stairway. I know that. Yeah, and part of this, of course, is you're gonna need engineered plans required, provide signed plan specifications or reports by a professional engineer under laws of the state of Minnesota.
Foundation.
Yep, plumbing systems will need to be assessed by a licensed plumber. Yeah, the debris, fire and life safety hazard, we'd hate for anything to happen to you or any worker, lead paint in there. Public health code conditions, there's animal predation in there, obviously. Yeah, the failing components, insulation, framing, floor, subfloor, electrical, ceiling. I know you mentioned the electrical 10 years ago, but our inspectors said it's failing. And the inadequate structural support from the beam header and or support system have failed, with a pretty solid photo of that one of a failed beam. Basement is not accessible, but you touched on that and I appreciate that. Foundation is failing. and stairways a hazard. I know you mentioned you're gonna work on that piece. But plumbing will need to be totally replaced, fill your supply waste and vent systems, all utilities, mechanical, electric are in disrepair. The fungal growth, it's a concern. Yeah, a review and assessment by a licensed Minnesota structural engineer of the entire structure will be required by the building official. Yeah, so all these, yeah. This,
So clearly I can't get that all done in 30 days.
correct. And that's what we're kind of wanting to hear from you, what the game plan is.
I mean, the game plan is nothing, not much stays in that building. All that has to be gutted. So there's, I mean, like I said, none of the plumbing is hooked up, none of the HVAC is, it's sitting there, but it's not hooked up. We tore that out. It just needs to be removed. Because to reuse anything that the previous owners had in there is not going to happen. Hence why I have the new electrical box put in right away.
And when was that?
That was 10 years ago.
10 years, you said, okay.
Mhm.
Electrical box, but then no, yeah, but interior wiring not done.
Correct. All that's, other than the column, all that other stuff is over here already.
This like, the column right here, the freeze thaw action. Okay.
We're still trying to, wanna do with that, so
Okay.
we haven't touched that yet.
Anybody else?
I think so too. They gotta give them some time, but I'm just hoping that you're not putting money over money. That's all I'm asking. You know, if you're gonna stick money into it, then it works for you. I don't wanna see you put thousands of dollars and give it a facelift. I'm just hoping it all works.
Mhm.
But
Well, the
I
whole
don't-
point is to keep the integrity of the building, the age of the building.
what kind of time would it?
That's the whole
that's-
point of doing this, right? I mean, I could spend this money any other way, but to spend the money and to actually try to repair what is there is to try to keep the history of the building, in a sense. Obviously, some of the other things that are in there that I'm taking out with the HVAC, that's not original, but
And I think like, nobody wants to get to the point where you spend thousands and thousands of dollars on this building and then it's still a hazard and
I
then the
understand
city
that.
goes in and tears it down.
correct. That's not gonna be the case, so.
Well,
I think if you're gonna put some cost in it, the first would be just to basically say, engineer, yes or no. Is this thing solid enough to even finish tuck point or anything like that? I would, if I owned it, I would at least say, hey, yeah, gotta start somewhere. I mean, if you'd, like you were saying, you put the money ahead of it and it's not gonna pass to engineering, then you've got money tied up in it, and that's just in my view, but
Go ahead, Ken, you were saying.
yeah, and that's just. There's a lot going on here and. I guess ultimately it's up to the council to decide whether or not, this is in fact a hazardous structure and we're gonna deem it as such. And then, what are we gonna require to be done about it before we actually apply to the court to go in and do it ourselves? So I think that's where the council needs to, I guess, give some direction for Sandra so she knows. And I think we need to be clear about it, because I don't think it should be, her spending thousands and thousands of dollars and then we go in and check and no, if this doesn't pass and we tear down the building in a week. I don't think that's fair to her. But we also got to be realistic on what these expectations are.
Yeah, and again, I love that, like looking online and we see the old picture of this building, like I'm a history buff through and through, and I understand your feelings to an extent. Obviously, I'm not in your position, but I hate to see old buildings go. We were part of the other one. It was horrific. I hated it. But it sounds like you're pretty dang optimistic that you can make this happen. We don't like to force residents into having to go to court and try to fight for a building either. I think, my opinion, and my vote would be that obviously it is deemed a hazardous building, right? Our building inspector has deemed this hazardous and has recommended it to be raised, meaning that it comes down. In talking with you a little bit here, I think it would be reasonable, and chime in if this works, or if anybody disagrees, that in 30 days' time, you can have a structural engineer come out, look at the property, the entire property, get in the basement, get all the photos and measurements, whatever the heck they need to do to tell you exactly what needs to be done first and what they recommend to be done first. We'll still do the window permit. Right, that's still going on. I think I have all that here. But unless you want to wait the 30 days to find out what comes of it. So I think 30 days, right, structural engineer, they're called, correct? Using the correct verbiage here.
Structure.
Okay,
Can it be possible to do 60 days, just in case it is harder to get a structural engineer, in case they could draw something out? Sometimes it does take a little longer.
I'm thinking 30, that's my thought. And if there's, I think as long as you're working with the city, if there's a delay or you're having issues, because 30 days, I think is reasonable this time of year to find a structural engineer to come out.
Can I say something?
Hold on one second, let me finish, please, if you don't mind. But yes, you can. But I think that's like the city's trying to work with you here and at least get a structural engineer out there, take the photographs, issue the report, and it would be at the homeowner's cost. And then the city council at that point would look at it, right? And then see where it goes before we issue that order into the court. Because depending on what that structural engineer says, I mean, if it lines up with what our building inspector is saying, then I don't know what we can do, because now we have a hazard in the community that's deemed a hazard times 2 now. And we typically always listen to our building inspector because he does this for a living and travels all over to do it. That is my comment. I'll let council chime in and then we'll let you hop in. But I think 30 is reasonable with any sort of delays, just reaching out to the city. If you need to grant an extension, we will have a council meeting before then. So.
I would say that's fair, because then structurally, they should be able to come up with something, and then you should be able to figure out if it's, I know you love the old building, I love old buildings too, but if it's actually feasible and cost effective to redo all the work that might be necessary.
And even if it isn't cost effective, that's your choice as the property owner. Just to be clear, I don't want,
Yeah, I'm not opposed to you wanting to stick that all in there to repair it. I feel better if the building engineer on my aspect would be there to let you know what actually all has to be done, and then you got a checklist on what needs to be done, and then you shouldn't have a problem with the building inspector coming back and say, oh, you missed this. Well, no, not really. We didn't. We had all of this already done too. So it might help cover you in the long run.
and then after that, and of course you provide us the report, right? So that we can, as a council, review it with you. And then after that, I think we talk with City Attorney Jansen here to see what other steps that we need to take once you get that part fixed. Right? If there's, or if it's recommended, not recommended, whatever your thoughts are at that point. Cause I think that if we're doing this is like, let's work together here. Let's see what all needs to happen. Cause I don't know what the cost is. I'm looking at it on one end where it's take the thing down, needs to be raised. There's nothing safe here, but you also got the mold issue. But the electrical, like you explained, you're planning on putting that in someday. You're fixing the steps. But without that foundation, that'd be step one of this. I just want to be clear that that wouldn't stop everything. You know, we'd probably talk to you about like the next deadline, right? Like, hey, when do you think you could have the mold abatement done? You know, because you're working on the exterior now, which I think makes sense for winter. For that chimney, right, that needs work as well. But that's my thought. Do you see any issues in that? Because we can continue to reassess as we go.
Yeah, and so it sounds like we just table this until, so about a month, the next, you know, we're looking at the November 11th.
I should give her a date, yeah. We get that.
Having a report to the city for us to review, and we can consider at
If
that.
she gets the report before that November 11th and maybe whatever, come back earlier if possible then too to the city and show us earlier and
Yeah.
if before.
But, and I'm just thinking, you know, kind of like the drop dead date, you know, that
Mhm.
November 11th, if we don't receive a report, then
Yeah, I get it.
then we just kind of rely on our own reports and we can make our decision.
And then, yes, sir, I'm sorry, I wasn't leaving you hanging, I remember.
Well, you were saying 30 days, this is the fall push for construction. You said yourself, you're not a contractor. Right now, it's the busiest time for everybody, so
Mhm.
to get an engineer in
Mhm.
30 days, get them out here to look at it, inspect it, and get a report back. And then you wanna make a decision by November 11th,
Mhm.
you better give us some grace.
No, we don't better give you anything. We're being kind to you.
It
Yeah.
could be, she could have contacted somebody, and
Yeah.
you might be waiting on the report.
Yeah.
Might not have the report yet,
Well,
but
That's fine. You just have to let us
yeah, like.
know what's all going on.
We made it very clear that if there was any reason for a delay, that she would come to us. But I'm telling you now, the better stuff, or you better do this, it's not gonna help the cause. We have to work together. And that this is, so, I mean, you're not a licensed contractor either. You're helping doing the tuck pointing, correct?
Correct.
All right, and we want permits pulled for any sort of contracting work. That's just how that works. That's what our building inspector is gonna need. So let's all work together and be kind, shall we?
right.
All right, moving on. So. Anything else?
I don't have any.
All right, I'll make a motion to table until November 11th, 2025. At that point, Sandra Foster will come back with an engineering report. Should there be a delay for the structural engineer that's paid for at the homeowner's cost, she'll reach out to City Hall with a reason for the delay and an estimated timeline not to exceed 60 days from today's date. Does that work?
And I don't even know if we necessarily need to put a, you know, within
Right.
60 days, if we just, you know, a reasonable amount of time.
Reasonable, okay, because I just I don't want anything to get misconstrued, so that's why I'm keeping numbers here, because I have faith that Sandra's gonna work with us on it. But the reasonable amount of time, I hate dealing with that in court, like I'm sure you do, because what's reasonable?
And then that'll be determined by the city at the November 11th.
At the November 11th meeting, but then if it's delayed, so we determine reasonable after November 11th. Okay, so I will make a motion to table this until November 11th. With the commentary still standing outside of the extension up to 60 days, we'll just reassess it on November 11th, 2025. Is there a second on the floor?
I'll second.
Second, Planter. Any further discussion from everybody? Right. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that carries. And thank you both for coming out today and talking about this. And yeah, you're welcome to stay for the remainder. And then where are we at now? We're at EDA updates.
Keep it brief. We're still working with Charlotte Enclave on the housing development as well as Wide Open Meridian. They have not closed yet. So we will probably have to update that resolution at EDA.
Okay.
Also, just an update, EDA did decide not to pursue historical buildings any longer as one of their 2025 goals. We did look into it. They decided not to form a historic preservation commission and move forward with that because they felt it did not want to put another committee on the city right now.
A paid committee too.
It would have to be a paid committee, correct?
Yeah. And that can always be reassessed should this building come to fruition too, to make sure we can get it on a registry or something, so.
Planning and zoning has updated the zoning code. It was reviewed at the last planning and zoning meeting. There were some changes to be made to it, so I'll come back in the November planning and zoning meeting. Also need to update the zoning map to match the new updated zoning code. Also creating a subdivision ordinance because the city of Greenville has never had a subdivision ordinance before. We realized that when we had Schawn Enclave and we created a subdivision, we didn't have any direction to follow. I'll do a tree committee update real quickly too.
Perfect.
We're applying for the relief grant. It'll be a substantial amount. It is close to completion. We have one letter of support. I have one more to get yet. No, yep, I will send that out,
Yep.
yep. And the tree committee also approved applying for Tree City USA again.
Well, if you need any help on the subdivision ordinance, like, certainly don't have to rework the wheel here.
That'd be nice.
Plenty out.
We're not, we have borrowed. We're ready for
That's
that.
government.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, we already did that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, your committees have been moving strong and thank you again. I think we're lucky to have you as the EDA and P and Z director. I don't say it enough, but the grants you're finding and all that's offsetting a lot of tax dollars. So I appreciate it a ton. I'm sure we all do. Park board update.
Next park board is tomorrow. No other updates.
Easy. Street projects. Curb project, the curbs.
I was in contact
Yeah.
with, the final
Finals,
properties.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
and what we discussed is that they will complete up to the $28,000 bid this
For
fall.
the per linear foot this fall. Okay.
Correct. And then next year, we will go out for bids. And that was understood as well by that company. We'll go out for bids again
Yep, and
for
I,
the remainder of what
Yeah.
we thought was going to happen this year.
yep. That is good news. Did he provide a deadline on the fall?
It was put into, it was a verbal.
Right.
He was in the office. It would be end of this month. Because
Okay,
after that, we
10/31.
really can't even,
right,
we're probably even at the point where we shouldn't be doing any more concrete.
yeah, I know, that's why that,
So,
yeah, that's with my update too, with, yeah, so.
Yep.
Let's hope by 10/31, maybe we'll have a heat wave. All right, thank you so much for that.
mhm.
Here we go for resolution, the 2025-34 street improvement.
That is in the packet.
Yes.
That was the resolution that was prepared by our engine. Go ahead.
Brian Bates.
Yes,
Yep.
our engineer.
Yep. And so, again, this is gonna be our resolution ordering preparation of a report on improvement. Just a quick coverage on this, proposed to improve Church Street from McGrand Street to 180th Street, Gloria Lane from McGrand Street to 6th Street, North Lane from approximately 100 feet west of the center line of Gloria Lane to approximately 210 feet east of the center line of Gloria Lane by improving the street and storm drainage system, and to assess the benefit of property for all or a portion of the cost of the improvement pursuant to Minnesota statutes, chapter 429. There was some concerns on, is it the road, is it the sewer? Is it honestly the depth of the properties when the developers were in there? What's causing all these issues? Do we have them looking into it, and to move forward, we'll need this. So I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-34.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I do have a question.
Lay it out.
So this resolution basically also does give them, from my understanding, the right to go in and actually tell us and look at it and then tell us what is wrong, correct?
Yes, this is the resolution ordering the report. saying,
And so they can tell us exactly what's
Yep.
wrong, okay?
Yeah.
Fine.
I have a question for Attorney Jansen. My brother is the one that brought forth half of this project. Would you recommend that I continue to abstain from these?
Your brother is preparing, like, he works with,
He brought
He
forth the
lives on-
complaint.
He lives on
I
the
kind of
street.
started half of this project.
so he's a resident in town and he kind of,
Raised a concern.
I don't see an issue, you know, it's not like he's bidding for the project or anything like that. I know he's affected, but so are many other residents that you represent, so I don't think that's an issue.
Okay,
And I appreciate you asking that too, because we have ISG, the independent engineering firm too, so I wouldn't see that, but now we have a solid answer. Now you can vote
good
with
to
us.
know.
Now you can vote with us. All right, so any further discussion? All right, hearing none, so roll call vote. Schawn,
Yes,
Mark?
Yes.
I'm a yes,
Yes.
and one absent. That carries.
Mr. Mayor, as long as we're talking about streets,
Yep.
Diane, did you see anything from Miller and Sons? Any estimated cost?
I think
Okay. I had, Brian Draghi look at them streets that we talked about. And, first of all, their schedule's not gonna allow it to do it this year anymore. But they're gonna prepare us for next year. So we'll be waiting on that.
All right, move on to number 13, bids, salt and sand. So, as always, salt and sand time. I mean, we're approaching winter, makes me sad. We've been really, really lucky, knock on wood again, on plowing. But let's see where this season brings us, 25, 26. Do you have anything you want me to add before we chat them over?
No, it's
Okay.
just, everyone has copies of the bids.
So, any comments on your bids in front of you?
who are the ones we had do it this last?
Claire,
Claire's been gone for the last, what, 3 years?
3 years?
3 years.
With Claire, are they? Yeah, this is for the actual plowing. The only commentary I've had, and gosh, I know it because you can never please a plow driver. That's one job I would hate to have because no matter what you do, you're always wrong. And you should have gone somewhere else first. It's so true that it's the biggest complaint I think you get in the winter time is plowing and I couldn't imagine, but I know that some of the streets were kind of hit or miss in terms of timing, but I think he's got other contracts. I don't know how busy Claire's is. I don't know if they've grown over the years, but I haven't heard.
Well, they do Arlington.
Yeah, they do.
Arlington, I don't think Plato. Like that, yeah, they've got a few other ones going.
Okay. That's my only initial concern is like, I know they probably do Arlington first, then they get Green Isle. Of course, we're a live-in community. And so most of us leave to work at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. We've all been there. I'm not cool enough to own a Bobcat, but I have a shovel, but a March snow shovel doesn't do you much good. But it's just the one, and then.
And it's the hardest part for me because I'm the one that
Right.
called them, let's go, and they're saying, well, we're in Arlington right now, it's gonna be a little bit, and I'm going like, ooh, this will be interesting.
Mhm.
What do you, that's.
Right. And that is a challenge. And we could pay more or less, any more. I don't see there's one yet. Is that different?
No,
Sorry.
that's the one that.
Oh,
you
there
got.
it is. I have this one.
Yep, you have Claire,
Yep.
Robinson for sand.
And this one. Which Robinson has done wonderful work for the sanding. I, for some reason, am not seeing my Robinson there because I have it hiding up here in my stuff.
$200 per ton.
Robinson is pretty dang good about standing. I have no complaints there. And
They just gotta make sure they hit every cul-de-sac though, which
cul-de-sac.
they don't.
And I think as long as,
Yeah, well, he's gonna, yeah.
We just need to
Tell him.
communicate that with him.
That's all it is.
Yep.
And, you know, very
There's
receptive.
definitely more people on our side of town now, so he's gonna have to
Right.
make sure that he gets everything now that they're.
yeah, so let's start with salt and sand with Robinson Trucking. It was the only bid that we did get at,
Also move on salt and sand from Robinson Trucking.
excellent.
I'll second.
Motion to second. And that is 80%, 20% salt, $200 per ton applied. And we have motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries. I'll sign that one next for you.
Okay.
So in front of you too now for plowing and sanding, we did get 2 quotes. Typically, we just had clears coming in. Somebody wanted to send in a quote as well for plowing and sanding operations for the city of Green Isle. Claire Excavating, as you can see in your packet, quite a bit of equipment because they have quite a bit of contracts. The other one is from Jessamine Concrete Masonry LLC out of Henderson. And this is a by the hour price for snow plowing the streets for the city of Green Isle 2025-2026 snow season as follows. 1 dump truck with plow and wing at $170 an hour. Payloader, $170 an hour. Skid loader, large frame, $150 an hour. And an F550 10-foot V plow, $150 per hour. And they also have numerous extra pieces of equipment. They're located 10 minutes away. And also the loaders would be in a building in Green Isle ready to go. Some operators are from Green Isle, so that will be quick response time. And they also have provided a copy of their commercial insurance. If you're doing a comparison here, if we're looking at pricing, we're just gonna say that Claire Grading and Excavating, their quote for plowing the city of Green Isle for the season is as follows. $205 per hour per grader and payloader or dozer. There'll be a fuel surcharge when the fuel is at or above $4 a gallon, and they do charge $2,000 for a minimum price per time. Equipment used is a 16-foot mold board with wing. There's 3 of those. 3 graders. And a lot more graders with wings, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and a payloader with a 4-yard bucket and a dozer. Similar equipment. Obviously, we don't see 16 payloaders in Green Isle when they're plowing. I think, what's the average amount they typically bring in with I think 1 or 2, 3?
2, and then the payloader usually pushes back on the corners, and the last year it did the cul-de-sacs by our side of town just because it made it quicker for the graders than to just come in, turn around and try to clean everything. Which I think
Usually push it all down to.
Which I think might have worked a little better because no matter who plows snow, doesn't matter how good you are, you're always gonna rip up somebody's grass.
Correct.
So
It's
I think by them doing that with the payloader and the cul-de-sacs worked better than trying to get to the edge with the graders.
And with Jessamine, do we know like how many staff roughly? Is it 1-man show, 1 lady show? That's a question that
Mark, you may have information.
Just
Indicated that he had,
Mark, and I don't know who
Okay.
who's got working for him, so.
Okay.
I know he does
He's got
another
guys
city.
covered, Yeah.
Oh, does he?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And that I think is new to him this year. That's from what I understand.
Okay.
It is nice to hear that they would have equipment in town and operators in town,
I do like that.
as long as they actually start here and not go somewhere else first.
Exactly. That's what we don't know. If he starts another town first and then we're second.
Right. I will have another meeting coming up. I need to, don't wanna deal with the Halloween snowstorm here. Right,
Right?
you know. So we will have to make a decision today. But I think Claire's grading has been good. They really have. Now getting somebody local offering in a bid, I do enjoy that. And the price looks reasonable, but we all know the lowest bidder isn't always the greatest. And I've no experience working with the individual. But I'm always willing to give a chance. But know that if we do that, we could see an increase 2 years from now. You know, if we decide to go back to the other person, but. I'll talk a lot. I mean, yeah, what do you got now?
I would make a motion to stay with Claire grading and excavating for snow removal for this year.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. And for further discussion, can you invite him to a meeting?
Sure.
Okay, I'd like him to maybe, if he's able to come to this next meeting. And we can learn more about him and possibly entertain that for the next season. Cause
Absolutely.
I'm always open, and if Claire doesn't work out, we might have a backup time. So,
Next meeting for information gathering.
yes,
Right.
darn tootin'. All right, we got that done. So we have motion second, all the discussion is done. Any further on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. And that carries. Now, water tower maintenance bid,
In your packet,
please come.
the last, might be the last page, I don't know. I was approached by McGuire, who has done a lot of, our tower repairs. And he came in with a plan for the next several years.
Have we worked with McGuire?
Yes,
before? I
yes,
thought
they
so.
did
I
the
told
water
him.
tower. We had a 4-year plan with
Yeah.
them. a few
Right, it was-
Years back,
25
Yep.
a year.
yeah, and they never charged us any interest, nothing, it was 4 years of paying 25,000.
That was cleaning it down.
2,500, right?
25,
Good.
that was 25,000 at that time.
Oh,
This bid is for 2,500 for other items.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's clean out with the
Yeah.
ROV. So yeah, they'll be, instead of sending scuba divers in there, they're using
Yep.
remote operational vehicles, which is more affordable and less dangerous, mind you, but go technology. $2,500 per year. That is very reasonable. We've worked with them before. They're
It's
pretty-
every other year.
Correct.
Yep, yep,
So for budgeting purposes, it's out there,
pretty dang affordable, and we have to do it.
correct.
So I will make a motion to approve McGuire cost schedule for clean out every other year.
No second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. And that carries. Bid update line park shelter.
There was a bid that was approved by LP Construction a few weeks back. He came in at 10,000 some odd dollars. He revisited the project, and this is what he is looking at right now. Redoing some of the doors that I don't think were on the original bid. We swing in, and there's double doors down there. He would like to change that to a single door. Just kind of, doing a lot of update with some other things on there. So his bid is higher than what his original was. And I said that I would need that in an email, which he provided to me, and that we needed to discuss at council.
Yeah, and I think that the bid isn't that far off yet. It's changed to 14,977.51 instead of 10,885.86. So, I mean, he's looking at this. I talked to him a little bit too. I mean, we rent that facility out. It needs to be in good repair, good condition. And if we want to continue to rent it out, it needs to be fixed up. I think what he means by that pull out one is right now to even open that in the kitchenette area, you really have to give that thing heck to lift it up, and it is unsafe when it's held up by one little hook. I almost got whacked in the head by it one day. Opening it up, it's a heavy piece of wood that's up there, so.
So really for what, $400 more? He's
$4,000.
4,000 more.
4,000,
Or
because he's
4,000.
redoing a couple of doors and making
I mean,
it,
you're looking at doors, that's,
doors are not cheap.
That's for all the doors?
Yep, that'll cover everything.
Right,
I appreciate him coming back stating, hey, look, looking at this will be better. It's a little extra, but
Cause
Here it is.
there's a double door that he would end up making a single.
Correct.
Instead too,
right.
okay,
And they would be swinging on both of those
which would make,
instead of out.
yeah,
more secure too.
Yep. All right, so I'll make a motion to approve, Dan Elke Construction's new job quote. Not to exceed $14,977.51.
I'll second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. That carries. I'll be brief with everybody on the Hope Garden update. Kudos to Mark Wentzlaff and with Wentzlaff Masonry. A lot of help out there, Mark, and learned a lot. Concrete's poured at the sidewalk. Everybody's noticed that next door. And then Kent Ostrom, he did phenomenal job stamping and helping out there. I know he sealed it yesterday afternoon, did the acid wash and then sealant. And so, yeah, we are making good headway. So the concrete is in for the winter. Now, if we have a decent fall, we can get a lot of the bulbs planted that were donated. And Lions Park is going to be putting in their donated picnic tables. And I guess there's a way to mount those to the area where they're not gonna be blown around, but shortly after that, next spring, we'll bring in like the fountain, because even the water hookup was donated, so there is gonna be some bills coming in for that, but again, that goes through Hope Garden, it's donor funded, it's all on Facebook. I'm excited to have that little area turn into a park. It's gonna be neat to see. So, but thank you, because without Mark bringing out his excavator to dig and get that down, I don't think we would have been there in time. So I do appreciate it and your business for helping out so much.
Thank you. Also, you participated in some raking and.
I learned a lot.
loading
I respected concrete and I know it's an art, but I also know I'm not very good at it, but it was actually pretty fun. Not when you have to move like, you know what, to get it done before it dries. I wish it was a little smaller pad to learn on, but thanks for your patience. All right.
He was the.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
no second.
Motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.